Welcome back. Welcome back to Unfiltered Unspoken Podcast, where we're going to continue to share life experiences in hopes that you will connect so you can start the journey to healing. Today, we have a special guest, Tristian Thornton, and she has a story to tell. So, I'm going to bring up Tristian and we're going to roll it from here. And as you know, Sid is going to kick off the first question and we're going to go back and forth. Welcome, Tristian.
Good evening, Queens. Good evening. Peace to you both. And I'm very blessed to be here and being a part of this wonderful podcast of yours. And I've actually been following both of you for quite some time. And I love the work you guys are doing and everything else. And big props to you both for giving people like me and everybody else across the spectrum, whether it be domestic violence, bullying, trauma, whatever, drug addiction, and overcoming that and everything else. It's beautiful. It's a beautiful thing when you can come back from things you would never think you would, you would never think. And I'm thankful we don't look like what we've been through, and that's what I'm very thankful for.
So, can you tell us a little bit about yourself, Tristian, so we can give the audience just a little bit about you coming in? So,
Oh,
see,
absolutely.
yeah.
I'm originally I grew up in the DMV area, been here for about over 20 some years, educated here and everything else. Um, you know, went through a lot of things very early on from a childhood, and it's really, and I don't know if you've ever heard about this, and I'm pretty sure either one of you as Black women have been through this. They try to, adulterize a child, like black little black girls, and they try to make them seem more grown. And I was subjected to that a lot because of me being developed at a young age, or all that kind of stuff. But it was just a chain reaction of trauma from childhood, teen, adult, even in my 30s and everything else. And it's just been, and I have amazing friends and family, and I'm pretty Demetra and City. I think we both have mutual friends within the DMV area.
Yes, we do. Yes, we
And
do.
like I said, I've been through multiple layers of trauma as a whole, not just with domestic violence, but bullying, because as you can see, like complected, and I went through a lot of trauma. And it's crazy how, for our generation, they try to project that generational trauma onto us. And, it's really sad. And I don't know if you guys notice the tattoo that's on my arm here. It's actually flowers. And let me see if I can get it to go down. It covers pretty much my whole upper arm. And I got it for surviving domestic violence. And as you can see, my middle flower is purple for domestic violence awareness.
Cool. We're going to get into our first question. You did tell us a little bit about experiencing, kind of being adulterized as a child. So, what kind of specific, scenarios did you go through as a child? How did that come into play?
It came into play when I was like very young. When I was like, for one, I was targeted a lot because I'm light complected and biracial. You know what I'm saying? And I went through, and that being biracial around our generation was like, huge, because it was taboo, and it's now more acceptable. But I've had grown men look at me like when I was a child, and it kind of creeped me out. And that started when I was about probably, I'd say about 7 years old. I'm sorry, 7 years old to almost like being a teenager, it was so weird. Now that I look back, it creeped me out. And now that, you know, you understand as you grow up and everything, now you understand it. And I even went through a very traumatic experience by the age of 7. And it went on for almost 2 to 3 years. I was molested by an older boy who was older than me when I was 7. He was about I think he was about 11 or 12 years old at the time, and I was 7. And he said, I remember specifically him saying to me with a small knife against my neck like this. And he said, if you say anything to anyone, I'll kill you. I was terrified. But you know what was so crazy? A family member kind of figured it out without me saying anything. And I thank God that they did.
So obviously that little boy must have been molested himself to put a knife to your neck and tell you.
Yes, absolutely. Yes, that's what I was thinking. Yes.
So did someone ever confront him about what he was doing to you?
Yes. And then I felt like I felt like I should have not said anything because I felt like I was being, I said it like, here was the crazy part. It took it was his grandmother that I told because she was my babysitter. Yeah. It was my babysitter's grandson.
And what came of it? Was he, reprimanded anyway, or what kind of came of it? Was it worth you telling?
He got a slap on the wrist. He was sent to juvenile up until he was 18. And the grandmother was also reprimanded as well. Jeez. Because it happened under her care.
Right. Mm-hmm. And, how were things for you after that? What kind of effect do you think that had on you?
I became really withdrawn. I shut down really bad. I kept to myself. I cried a lot. I didn't feel like, I was like, I asked myself, what was so bad that they chose me to do this to me? Because, I was really, it hurt me really bad. And I was just like, if anybody will tell you about me, I'm a really nice person, but that really screwed with me for a really long time.
Now, did your family get you professional help going through this, or was it just okay? It happened.
It was kind of like it was swept under the rug. Yes, and that's what I don't understand with some parents they always expect us to get over the stuff, and I never will understand that because people don't understand. Anybody will tell you a child is not going to lie, especially about something like that. You know what I mean? And I'm like, why won't you, help the person? Especially, I'm a child. I'm not equipped to navigate that type of ish. I don't want to curse on this podcast, but
this is Unfiltered Unspoken Podcast. You can say whatever you want.
It's just respect, and again, I'm gonna say this one more time. It's bullshit. It really is, and it doesn't make any sense. Like, that damages people's psyches, man. And it also I almost committed suicide because of it. Because I felt like it was like, it was like, what did I do so bad? Like, what did I do to deserve that? I'm a kid, you know? But it's so crazy how people project their traumas onto other people. And it's so...
Did you, from now, I just want, because we want the audience to see. So from childhood to now, have you seek professional help to help you through some of the challenges that you have been through from a child?
Yes, I actually started going to therapy at the height of the pandemic. And she was phenomenal, man. Because by that time, more trauma, then domestic violence came into play, as well as, trauma with friends, family, death, everything, everything under the sun. It was just a lot to, unpack. And, my therapist was amazing, trying to help me, navigate everything. And I feel things a lot harder than I should. And I recommend people getting therapy because, it really does help you unpack and help you navigate that healing process a little bit better if you try to do it by yourself. You can't, when you go through things to the degree of everything, it's not easy to go through that alone. You have to have some kind of support system in some shape or form, whether it's not just, professionally, it could be, that moral support from fans, family, whatever may have you. But having that non-biased medium to hear you out as a person, and it really does help. Oh, okay. I'm sorry.
You're fine. And I think Sid has a question for you really quick, so she can chime in.
Sure.
I just, after, everything kind of took place there, with your abuser, what was, next up? What was the next kind of pivotal moment that kind of like shaped your trauma? What else did you walk into because of what you had been through?
Yeah. I, went through a lot with my sexuality. I really didn't, because I felt like I couldn't trust men for real, like talk about it. And also, when I did try to, navigate relationships, it did a lot of it rendered a lot of stuff in my relationships. It would make me hyper vigilant, and just, if anybody displayed this or anything like that, it's like, ugh. But, I actually am, I'm bisexual. I do like men and women, but that I didn't start like trying to like get curious about men until I was like 19 years old. And it was really, it was really weird. And then, okay, fast forward, I turned 22. I turned about 22 years old. I get involved with my very first abusive ex-boyfriend. And I didn't think anything of this. Like, I thought he was a nice guy. I thought he was going to treat me right, everything like that, everything. We started dating. It's always like that same scenario when they reel you in, like a fishing line, and it was like everything was fine for like the first 3 to 6 months, maybe even 7 at the max. Then the fuckery started. Women calling his phone, calling my phone, and I'm like, red flag, red flag. Okay, I try to be, assertive and be like, hey, I wasn't trying to be like be on that rah shit, and I was like, yo, what's going on? Blase blah. And without warning. No forewarn, no indication, no nothing. He hauls off and sucker punches me in the face and gives me a black eye. Yeah. I thought he hit me so hard. He literally knocked me off my feet, and I thought my eyeball had popped out of my fucking head. I just couldn't believe it. I staggered, and I just had to get away from him. I was terrified at that point. I was like, what the fuck did you? I just couldn't help it. I just removed myself, got home, and I didn't want nothing to do with this dude at all.
So did you go back to him?
Yeah, after he tried to apologize, so-called apologize, and he gave me flowers and everything like that. And he was like, I'm sorry, I won't hit you no more, or whatever the case may be. And it's so, and then, things would be fine for like couple of weeks to a month to a month and a half. Then some other shit would start. Like, he would start arguments with me and everything like that just to get away from me, or so he can meet up with other women and things like that. And I'm like, what the? And then he would turn it around on me. Like, I was out here doing stuff with men and women. And I'm like,
how long were you in a relationship with him?
I was with him for almost 18 months. I had to get away from him. I had to. It was becoming more volatile and more dangerous. He started trying to get me to do things that I normally would not do. And if I objected, it would be like laying down the gauntlet. He beat the crap out of me so bad that he busted me up really bad. And I had blood coming out of my mouth. My lip was completely split open, everything. And I just kept trying to get away from this guy. And, things got progressively worse. I called the police, filed a report, all of that stuff. I just wanted to make sure they knew what he was doing to me. Just to make sure I didn't fall victim at his hands. Because we all know that scenario. And honestly, I honestly get survivor's guilt when I hear a man or a woman die at the hands of an abuser. And it really strikes, it's a bit triggering. I actually lost a really good friend of mine. His name was Shamato Clark in Maryland. His girlfriend killed him in a jealous rage after she hit him with her car. And I'm pretty sure you've seen the news. It was around this time last year in August 20th of 2022. Happened in Brandywine, Maryland. And I was devastated. It just hits. And I always say to myself, it could have been me. It could have been easily been me. I could have died at my first abuser's hands. I could have died at my second abuser's hands. Whatever may have you.
Jeez, I'm sorry to hear that. And that happened to you, especially after your ordeal.
Yes, absolutely. It was devastating.
I can imagine. I do want to ask, what was kind of the last straw? What was the final act, and how did you make it out of that relationship?
The last straw was, I just, there's only so much someone can take. I tried to, distance myself. You know how you try to distance yourself away from people, like have that wall up, like, hey, you can't be here, like you've seen Black Panther. We don't do that here. You already know the deal. But it was just like, it was my birthday. I get a random call from a blocked number, and it's a female that calls me. A female. And she was telling me all this stuff. Because mind you, he ghosted me for almost 2 weeks. Come to find out he was with her. The girl told me everything. And this was before screenshots and everything like that. Text message. Yeah. You know the deal. And he tried to make it look like he was like, all the girls lying and this, that, and the fourth. And he ended up pushing me down a flight of stairs. He pushed me down a flight of stairs. And I tumbled like a piece of tumbleweed down in the desert, man. It was so scary. And I had to like tuck and roll just to make sure I didn't get any serious injuries. And I was like, oh my God. Like, I was scared what was going to be the last resort. And that just broke me. And I was just like, this man's never going to change. There was multiple, this was strike 3, because this was like the second or third woman that I had confronted him about. And somehow they would get my number and reach out to me on, but at that time it was MySpace and things like that. It was really weird.
Wow. So you leave that relationship. You were in another abusive.
10 years. Fast forward 10 years.
10 years you were in another abusive relationship.
And let me add to this first one. Let me add to this first one. Okay. When I got to that breaking point and I had enough, I had to fight back. I actually ended up fighting back because I couldn't take it anymore. People, I don't know if you've ever heard when somebody says that survival instinct goes off. There's nothing you can do about it because that's what happened. Because it was just so much abuse, so much. It was just like bam, bam, bam. It was just like so much inside me, and it turned that sadness turned into anger, which turned into rage. It was a mixture of rage, and you're just trying to stay alive. And I put his head through a wall.
I was going to ask, did you attack back? Yes,
I did. I picked up any and everything that I could get my hands on, and I ended up getting the upper hand, and I smashed his head through a wall. I smashed his head through a wall.
What was his reaction?
He didn't know what to do. He ended up, I just kept going. I kept attacking. I kept throwing things. I kept throwing lamps, everything that was around me, books, whatever I could get in front of me. And I picked up a golf club and I ended up swinging it at him. And I was just like, I've had it. I just was in a blind rage. And I couldn't stop.
Like you blacked out?
Yes. And he ended up calling the police on me.
Did they lock you up?
They locked both of us up. Yeah, because they said it was mutual combat.
But
because they said it was mutual combat.
So they didn't consider that self-defense.
Yes. And I also used my bare hands to fight back too. I may not look like I did some boxing in my time, so.
Did they, in whatever, I guess, court proceedings that you had due to that, did they assess the fact that you had, previously made reports and things like that? Or, what came of that? Did you get charges from that, knowing that?
I did get charged. I was initially charged with assault with a deadly weapon because I'm trained to fight. And also, in the state of Virginia, I don't know if you know this, it's a felony. Most of the time it's a felony. I was facing 15 years.
For defending yourself, or this is when he pushed you down the steps?
This was when he basically tried to strangle me when I said I'm done and I'm leaving.
Crime of passion.
Yes. And I had to kind of play possum so he would stop. So it worked. And unbeknownst to I used to be a swimmer, so I can control my breath. So I can make it seem like I'm not breathing at all.
So did they drop charges on you?
Yes. I was found not guilty and I was acquitted on all counts.
Was
Yes.
he found guilty or was he acquitted as well?
Yes. He was found guilty. Yes. He was
Okay,
found
good.
guilty. Yes. He was found guilty and he was sentenced to 15 years. He was sentenced to 15 years because he had priors and they suspended 5 of the years. I don't understand that. I don't understand. You try to kill somebody and you get some kind of leniency. I don't understand that. When it comes to domestic violence, you want to put them away so they don't hurt nobody else. Nobody.
This is not about me, but I just wanted to chime in right there because
Sure.
if I was where I was now, like how you're talking, I would have asked for a trial, but because I was so confused, and I want people to understand this too, and that they make different choices.
You know what?
You brought it up. I was confused,
you
so
hit
I
the nail on the
asked,
head. You did that.
yeah, but I asked for a plea bargain, and that's what people don't realize. And even my abuser called me a liar, but they're not going to tell that part. But I asked for a plea bargain because mentally I couldn't stand trial. So it's two sides to this, and I'm glad that you were able to stand up and say I'm going full force. But all victims are not like that. A lot of victims don't even want to face court or seek court.
Absolutely not. You're right. You're right. And
behind.
I just felt like I had to put him away so he did not hurt anybody else.
Or you end up losing your freedom of your life.
And now, like I said, fast forward 10 years. Did I say 10 years? Yes. 10 years, I get involved with this other guy, and initially I was not interested. I wasn't. And I was like, oh, I'm thinking nice, blah, 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 whatever. But, you know, he wore me down and he was persistent. And next thing you know, we went on a couple of dates. Everything seemed okay. I was like, okay. He kind of drew me in a little bit. And I was just like, I thought everything was okay within pretty much like I relived the same shit from previous to 10 years. And everything was fine. We went on a couple vacations, this, that, and the fourth, and you know, things were okay and things like that. We went on a couple days, like I said, and then the fuckery surfaced. And I got wind of it. So, yes, and I was just like, whoo-wee. And he got really upset with me, and he started screaming at the top of his lungs on my face, in my face, like literally like this, in my face, like, because I happened to see his phone open when he left the room, and just, you know, I don't go through phones, but it was just like that gut feeling like something wasn't right. And he was talking very sexually explicit to a woman. And I'm like, hold on. You don't talk like that with me like that. Very seldom, but still, you being friendly to another woman while you're dealing with me, and you're the one who pursued me. I don't understand. And he got really upset, and that's when, you know, pretty much it was like living through this a second time. I was like, oh my, I couldn't believe that I was going through it again. And I even expressed to him that I had been through, and he knew of my ex and everything else. And he was like, oh, I'm not like that. We all know the deal. We all know how people, when they reel you in and shit, you know how they go. And I said to myself, I can't believe I'm going. I couldn't believe it. It was like a bad rerun. It was like a bad rerun. And then things got.
When you found out that.
I'm sorry.
No, when you found out that he was talking to another woman on the phone, did Was it a repeat? Did he hit you after that? Was he physically abusive?
Yes, I was just about to get to that. He ended up, after screaming in my face, he slapped me across the face. He slapped me. And it was hard. I could feel it in my teeth. That's how hard he hit. When he slapped me with an open hand, with full force. I couldn't believe it. I was like, oh my God. I couldn't believe it. I just could not believe it. And I was like, I can't deal with you anymore. I'm out. Bye. I ran out of the house crying. I was upset. I thought he was gonna do something worse. And he blew up my phone probably 50 times a day after I distanced myself. I blocked him on Facebook, everything, and he ends up, you know, I tried to, not let him in, but in the same token, I wanted to, because, I'm a compassionate person, but, my thing is there's a difference between being empathetic and just stupid. You know what I'm saying? But we all know how that goes, because we all have a soft spot for the person that we say we love and cherish or adore or whatever. But I tried so hard to get away from this dude. I tried so hard.
Now, was that the only
we
scenario
tried to
with
work
him?
things. I'm stopping talking because I know sometimes this. No, it wasn't. No. And it got worse. And here's the crazy thing. It got worse each time. He started going through my phone while I was asleep. He started accusing me of sleeping around with guy friends from my Facebook page. He would even of flirting with a family member of his. I'm not on that type of time. He would always try to pick fights with me so he could go out and do whatever I don't understand what it was like. I was like, oh my God, I can't believe I'm going through this again. And when he would get mad at me, he would start throwing. He was like, oh, I see why these men dumped you. And I can see why one of your exes used to fuck you up and this, that, and the fourth and everything else. And it was just like, really? This is how we're going. You're going to use my trauma against me to gaslight as fuel to gaslight me? Are you serious? I was so upset. I just couldn't believe it. And he would make jokes about me, like kind of make fun of my weight and he would say, oh, I can find somebody better than you and this, that, and the fourth. I don't understand you, dude. I'm like, I went through this. I'm basically going through this like a bad rerun, and I just couldn't believe myself. And there was times I would go out with friends or whatever, and he would when I wouldn't answer my phone, was he hitting me up on blowing up my Facebook Messenger to see if there was any guys around.
So you were with him 10 years. How long were you with him?
Almost 2.5 years. And I tried to get away from him because 2.5. It was more so he was trying to keep me from leaving, but it was just like he could do whatever he wanted, but I was the prisoner in the scenario. Like,
Okay,
this
so
guy was a lunatic. This guy was a lunatic.
I want to jump back because I want to go back because do you think you were trauma bonding from your childhood? Because you're
breaking up, my love.
Sid, were you trauma bonding from your childhood?
I can't hear you, darling. I can't hear you. I can't hear you.
Can you hear me now? Can you hear me?
Can you hear me?
Hold on, I'm gonna pause.
Hey, we all here to be an open book here, so.
Exactly. So do you think that, I'm going to repeat the question again, do you think that a lot of what you went through through your childhood, you were attracting that attention? It sounds like you were trauma bonding almost, but you didn't realize that you were trauma bonding. So
yes, I learned all this.
You were bullied in school, Tristian, right?
Yes.
Were you bullied to the point where people were hitting you in school, pulling your hair?
Yes, that is correct.
Like, can you tell us a little bit about your bullying? Because I want to see, like,
yes,
from I was this piece to this
called racial slurs. I was called racial slurs too. Take that. You went out for a moment. I don't know if I gotta log into my phone so you guys can hear.
No, pause it. Can you hear me now?
But I want to.
Now we good.
Yes, ma'am.
You on mute? Sorry. I apologize. So we had a few technical difficulties, and as you know, in Unfiltered Unspoken, we are raw. We do not edit. We do not do anything. So we apologize for the glitches, but we're moving forward. So I'm going to re-ask Tristian a question. So from the relationships that you had through domestic violence, I want to go back into your childhood because you were bullied. So I want to see if there's a relationship from your bullying, like you're almost attracting these relationships in your adulthood. And just, can you tell us a little bit about some of the things you went through in your childhood from being bullied?
People used to make fun of my light complexion. People used to call me names, and people would say, oh, I'm not black enough, and just, the whole thing, and I was called racial slurs, and I was called stupid, and, that I was retarded and things like that. It was really fucked because I was diagnosed with ADHD at the age of 5. And I actually overcame a lot of stuff with it, but not a lot of people, they said I would not do literally half of the things that I do now. Drive a car, anything like that, learn anything. And I'm actually was a fast learner. And people was like, oh, you're trying to be white because you want to do good in school and things like that. It was really, our generation was fucked up, man, in school. It really was. But, I got in trouble a lot for fighting in school when I did fight back, because I annihilated people when I would fight. Because I would try not to fight initially, but it's just like when you keep poking the bear, you keep poking the bear, and they force your hand when you do snap.
Just so the audience can see, when you say you would annihilate people, what do you mean?
I would fight them to the point they would be done. I would fight people until I felt satisfied enough that they had enough, that I felt they had enough. Because when I tell people, but when I was younger, I would tell people just even now, I try not to fight because I know where my strength lies, and I'm a lot stronger than you would think. I'm not very tall nor very big, but I know where it can go. I know where my temper can go, and it's a very dark place, and I don't want to visit that. And people,
what exactly at that time or point those bad points in your life, what were you doing to, you know, kind of release what was going on? Did you, you know, have particular hobbies or, you know, put your energy into
I listen to a lot of music. Music, if anybody who will tell you, music was my biggest escape and solace, as well as sports. Because it helped direct that rage in a constructive way. And, you know, with music, that was a big solace for me as well. And it was huge because it makes you feel like, you know, nothing else matters or anything like that. And music has been a big part of my life since I was a child, and I'm thankful for it. And as well as having sports like basketball, football, swimming, and boxing, all of that. That was very instrumental in kind of, and also I watched a lot of, you know, comedy things because I wanted to laugh at the pain. And, you know, when I learned to use my words and not my fist, like I would use my humor to, you know, bring the bullies down to earth a little bit or humble them, if may have you.
So I'm assuming they stopped bullying you because they figured you knew how to fight. Or
Yes.
fought, so.
I actually had a girl when I was in school. The girl was white. She walked by me in the hallway, and mind you, she had antagonized me. She was like picking. She would like do microaggressions, and one day she walked by me in the hallway. And she mumbled the N-word with the hard R underneath her breath. And I heard it. And I grabbed her from behind and I started beating the crap out of her. I started beating the shit out of her. And people were screaming, "Stop, stop." And they didn't know what was going on. And it initially, I got kicked out of, I went to the principal's office, you know, the whole nine, your parents get called or whatever. The girl lied. She was boo-hooing and crying, saying, "Oh, she attacked me and sucker punched me for no reason. Blah, 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 woo, woo, woo." And what was it's got a good ending. I'm going to get to that. I got kicked out of school for that. And I was sent to an alternative school because I got in so many fights. And the girl was bragging about getting me in trouble. And she went to her parents who were going to go to the police and try to file charges against me. And the girl, there was another girl that I went to school with, and she's white. She told the girl's parents what she did to me. And she told her, "I can't be friends with you anymore because you're racist." And the girl tried to say, "I'm not racist." And we all know that whole, when it comes out of, I said, you knew what you was doing. You was saying that word. So you did it to get a reaction. You got more than what you bargained for. Me and the girl who was that girl's friend, we are still cool to this day. And I also had trauma with a lot of teachers because a lot of teachers in our generation, I'll have to be honest, a lot of them were racist. Towards people like us, towards Black people. And it was really sad. It really is. But you know what? I'm glad that I had some good teachers that helped shape me who I am. And I'm very thankful that they saw the good in me when no one else did. And they tried to paint me as a menace because I did fight a lot.
And I guess where we kind of left off at before we kind of reround on things. How did you eventually end up leaving the 18-month relationship? I know you said you kind of put some distance between you, but I'm pretty sure he was still trying to pursue you. So what was really the end?
I just told him I told him I'm done. I don't want nothing to do with you at all. I'm done. I can't take this shit. I literally said I can't take this shit anymore. And something in him snapped. He snapped. He kept trying to get me back, and I was like, nope, I'm gonna. And then silly me, he was like, I'm sorry, and this, that, and the fourth, because I thought, and that's when he tried to kill me. He basically lured me by himself.
You.
I'm sorry?
So he tried to kill you?
Yes, he tried to kill me.
The relationship or the first one?
First one.
This is from him strangling you?
Yes. Yes. And it seems like that's their go-to. It seems like that's their go-to. Because it's so personal and it's so up close.
Have you ever seen him again? Did he ever apologize to you?
No, I saw him from a distance, but he wouldn't look at me. I think he saw me. I haven't seen him in about probably about 10, probably about 5 or 6 years, maybe even 7. I think I saw him not too far away from where I live, and he couldn't even look at me.
Can I ask you a question real quick? I'm sorry, Sid. And I just want to...
No, take your time, ladies. I'm good.
Yeah.
Go ahead, ladies.
Are you still hurting inside? Do you still have a lot of pain that you're dealing with?
Yes, I'm still. It comes in waves. I'm still healing from a lot of things, but the good thing is I'm not desensitized by the shit anymore. And that's what it boils down to, because you become hypervigilant, you become, and I was also diagnosed with complex post-traumatic stress disorder, or CPTSD, in January of 2021. And it was from just everything as a whole. And let me go back to the other relationship that I was in for 2.5 years. The breaking point was, he was ghosting me. He was making my life miserable. And he would conveniently do this around my birthday too, and ghost me for weeks at a time, and then pop up like nothing happened. People don't understand that shit is like one of the worst forms of psychological and emotional abuse you can do to anybody. On God. But, I just got to the point, I told him, look, I'll give you one more chance, but if there's any type of infraction, anything, you're done. Okay. I get invited out with friends. He always hated when I go out with friends, because he always swore I was going out there to meet somebody to fuck them or something. It was weird. And he also, on top of all his BS, he hit on my best friend and lied about it, even with screenshots and everything else. And me and the friend, I took him back after that. Stupid, I know, silly me, but we all know when those people got a hold on you, it's crazy. But one of my friends invited me out to watch a basketball game at a bar. Locally at a bar. And I don't look at this person in that way, and he doesn't look at me in that way. He's never tried his hand at me. I've never tried his hand at him. And my friend tags me in a post on Facebook that he's with me, and my ex sees it. And the next day, He calls me flipping out, calling me a whore and calling me, he's like, oh, you fucked someone, you fucked that, you got drunk and fucked this dude, huh? And this, you F fucking whore, and this, that, and the fourth. And I say, I don't even look at him in that way. He's like, I don't give a fuck. I said, he pretty sure he wanted to fuck you too. And I'm like, what, dude? I've known him for longer than I even knew you. I don't even, he's not even my type. He even went as far as reaching out to my friend on Facebook. And my friend laughed at him. He was like, there's nothing going. He asked, did we have sex? And I'm like, my friend was like, nah, me and her are not on that type of time. I don't understand that insecure shit. Like, any guy that would show me attention or even look in my direction, he would always assume that I was screwing them or screwing around with them. And it haunted me. And that was when I said I had enough. I was like, we're done. I'm done. And I said, we're not getting back together, this, that, and the fourth. And I just got to the point, and then he continues to gaslight me when I say I'm done. He was like, you're whack, you're all this, you're for the streets, and you're just gonna fuck anybody that would want you. And this, I mean, but this is, mind you, this is the person who said he could find somebody better than me. Well, go find them then. But okay, I meet someone else after a while, and some people that my ex knew would, try to get information out. He would run around trying to get information out of people, and he would call my phone constantly trying to get me to talk to him. And I kept telling him, and then the boyfriend that I was with, he was like, look, she don't want you, and this, that, and the fourth. And he would tell him to back off. We both told him to back off. And this is where he would also make Facebook profiles trying to reach out to me. He would even get one of his friends to reach out to me, trying to, bait me into talking and flirting to see if I would flirt with them or something. It was weird. It's really fucking weird, man. And, fast forward, mind you, we've been broken up for a couple of years. And I could not take him calling me anymore. And honestly, lesson learned. I should have changed my number the second we split up. But yeah, it got to the point he was calling me. I wish I had the actual screenshots. He was calling me probably about 25 times a day after the number was blocked. Then it turned to 50, 70, 60. I'm like, are you serious? What part of we're not getting back together don't you get? And it was, and then that everything hit a fever pitch in 2020, in October of 2020, right after my birthday. He threatened to kill me. He's like, look here, bitch. You and your man is kill or be killed, bitch. I hung up that phone. I said, you are going to jail, my guy. You are going to jail. I called the police. I filed a report. They told me to go to the magistrate and file a restraining order against him. Got everything filled out. Probably about 2 weeks after everything was done, like with the initial protection order and everything like that. We all know how that goes. You go to court, you see the person. Even when I presented everything, the phone records and everything, and by some grace of God, for whatever reason, I swear, some of these court systems, we all know they don't take all this shit seriously until somebody dies. We've seen it all too often. But they threw out the protection order against him, even with his history. They threw it out, even with his history. I was so upset. I was angry. I was enraged. And he was told by the judge to stop harassing me. I changed my number. I still continued. This is when I started going to therapy. And, you know, it was a very hard time. And, you know, me and the man that I was with, me and the man that I was been with for a while, he assumed that I wanted this guy back, and I had to, you know, tell him, look, I don't want nothing to do with him. And my counselor at the time, my therapist at the time, was amazing through this whole process. You know, me going to court, she wrote something that was brought to the judge, and I brought it to the judge and everything. But in about probably about a couple years, fast forward about 2 years, 3 years after court, I get multiple Facebook, you know how you get those message requests, and you know, he was hitting me up through a fake profile saying, oh, I'm sorry, you're so beautiful, and this, that, and the fourth. Like, this dude is obsessed. I blocked it. I didn't even give him a response. 2 months after that, he makes another profile. And he's like, damn, what did I do to make you hate me so much?
Wow. I go. We are at we're at time. We're at time.
Right.
Man. I commend you for standing up to be strong through all the traumas that you have been through, starting childhood to bullying to, and I've been through a lot of similar stuff as well, which caused anger within me.
Yes, absolutely. And I want to say, can I say one thing?
Yeah.
I hate to cut you off, Queen, but you know, I'm gonna say this: the biggest thing in this healing process is having the right support system, but you have to put it in your mindset that you are going to continue to win and beat this because you are better than your abusers, because they had a lot of unresolved trauma within themselves, and it's a chain reaction, and they try to inflict it on other people. And I'm very thankful that I don't look like any of us don't look like what we've been through. And I'm very thankful and very gracious. And I don't think I would be here with the likes of people like you and City and my friends and family, and they've been tremendous, as well as the professional help been seeking to help me realize who I really am and find a lot of strength I never knew I had.
And you continue to pull that strength.
Absolutely. And that's why I got that flower tattoo on my arm, because it's from the growth from all that pain.
Mm-hmm.
And yes.
You answered my question, because I was going to say give advice, so you've already answered it. So I'm going to let see it sink in real quick.
Sure.
And her close out, and I mean her last final, then I'm going to close it on out.
Sounds good.
So this is the part we like to call shameless plug. So you do see all of your information scrolling across the bottom. This is just where you let the viewers know how they can reach you, how they can contact you, how you're able to help, how you can draw traffic to anything that you want to draw some
Yes.
spotlight on.
I
everything. Did. You got the floor.
I just want to just let anybody know who is going through it, and a lot of the times, the most loudest, the silence, the most silence can be the most deafening, because it falls on deaf ears and you never know what someone is going through. But I just wanted to use this platform to speak out, to let people know there is life after domestic violence and trauma and everything else. And you just have to keep focusing on your healing process, and it's messy as hell. We all know that healing is messy, honey. But, you know, and I really appreciate you guys having me on your platform this evening, and I'm going to continue. Thank you guys for your mission is a beautiful thing, and thank you guys, and it's been an absolute honor and privilege to be here this evening.
Thank you so much. And to contact Tristian, you see things are scrolling across the board. And Tristian is still going through her healing process, as she mentioned. And I'm going to pray for you along your journey. You know, I'm always here to talk, so you can always reach
absolutely out. And I really appreciate that. And it's been, people don't understand with the healing process. It's never, there's no real end, there's no final destination, nor is it linear. And some days are better than others. Some days are harder than others. And it's just like, you just have to stay committed to your journey 100%. You have to stay committed to it and lean on your support system. Just try to stay, you know, focused to the best of your ability. And my days have been, it's been a challenge at times. I'm not gonna lie. No real journey is perfect. I'm not gonna lie to you, and I'm not gonna hold you. Like everybody says.
Right about that, and you've heard it right there. No journey is perfect, and you have to stay committed. You have to stay dedicated. Yes. And as you watch today, you watch Tristian go through her childhood traumas, as she started molestation at the age of 7 from an older child, a babysitter's grandson, and the domestic abuse from being bullied, which caused a lot of anger and rage within her, but she's not denying the trials and tribulations, and she's being very transparent about the things she went through. So what I want to say is, I hope that someone that is going through the same thing that Tristian is going through, that you can relate to this testimony so that you can start the journey to healing. And Tristian is still going through her journey of healing, but she's sharing her life experience in hopes that it would help someone to start their journey to healing.
Yes.
Yep. So we want to thank you.
I have one more thing, Mr. Mitchell.
Okay.
I just want to say one thing. It's been it's always an uphill battle, and you just have, like I said, you got to stay consistent with it. You just have to, and you have to pray for the strength to endure, and also make sure you never lower your voice for anybody again. Because breaking that silence is the first step, and waking up.
And that's why you want to hear me roar.
You going man.
Roar. Yes. And clear. If you don't like the story, then unfollow me. That's how. We're gonna keep sharing them on Unfiltered Unspoken Podcast, City Sid and I. So you're gonna see a lot of us. We ain't going nowhere. And the more that we get into
y'all better not.
The more that we get into this, the more passionate that Sid and I become, because what people don't realize is we have to go through listening to all of the life experiences, so it does impact us in a certain form and fashion, a way. But the strength allows us to continue to share the life experiences because we're so passionate about getting the message out. And you continue to share your story, Tristian, and we make sure y'all tune in. This will be airing Friday, so you'll see Tristian. Thank you for tuning into Unfiltered Unspoken Podcast. We'll see you soon.